Today we will start a new series where we will discuss the impact of the transit of Ketu.
Yes.
So in the month of April, Ketu is transiting from Scorpio to Libra.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
based on that, let's understand what Ketu is first, and then what the impact on every ascendant is.
Yes, yes. So we'll start this video. We'll talk about what is Ketu. So probably after this video, not many people should have any doubts on what exactly is Ketu. So we'll start with a small prayer. Like in Vedic astrology, every graha, every nakshatra has a sound or a cosmic sound attached to it. There is a prayer attached to it. So Ketu's prayer goes like this. पलशपुष्प संकाशम तारक ग्रह मस्तकम रौद्रम रौद्रात्मकम घोरम तम केतुम प्रणमाम्यहम. So basically it means Ketu is a representation or it looks like the Palasha Pushpa. So it is basically reddish in color, and Palasha Pushpa we know, right, that flower has a lot of medicinal sort of properties. It's antioxidant, anti-astringent and those kind of things. And Ketu is known to be the king of the planets. Taraka Graha Mastakam and Raudram Raudratmakam Ghoram. So it is a very fierce kind of a planet representing Bhagwan Shiv. So that is the energy that Ketu carries. And we bow our obeisance, we pay our respects to Bhagwan Ketu like this. So to generally, Ketu is known as the Moksha Karaka. Right, so Moksha Karaka. So any spiritualist that you see in this world will definitely have a very strong Ketu. So just to give some examples, Swami Vivekananda. So Ketu is Vargottama, is extremely strong. Your Aurobindo, Sri Aurobindo, again Anuradha Pada 4 and Vargottama Ketu. We have Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, again Rohini Pada 2, which is again Vargottama as well as Pushkara Navamsha. So any spiritualist, any person who is moving in the spiritual direction will definitely have a very, very strong Ketu, because without that, you cannot proceed in this direction. So just to, in a material direction, just to give an example, this is the third time that we are recording this video. So Ketu exactly represents that. Anything material, Ketu has a tendency to, move it in the opposite direction, or, sort of disperse it. That is the beautiful flavor of Ketu actually, which comes out. That clearly means that, boss, you have to move in the spiritual direction. So, from a sort of representation, anything that is sort of anti-clockwise or a leg spin indicates Ketu. So for example, all the planets move in the clockwise direction. So it's basically an off spin. So your sun, moon and all planets including Rahu. Ketu is the only planet which moves in the leg spin direction. So which moves in the opposite direction. This is from a geostationary kind of a perspective. So anybody who wants to move in the material direction, if the person has a Ketu Dasha running, it is going to be, Ketu will sort of nudge that person to the spiritual kind of a platform. So whatever you want to achieve in material direction may not happen, and then you probably move into a spiritual path kind of a thing. So the in terms of the gods associated with Ketu, Ketu is headless planet, right? So we have talked about the story in Samudra Manthan Rao in the Rahu video. So that headlessness nature is very, very strong. So for example, any god, Bhagavan, which has to do with, Gajamukha, Marakata Mukha, Simha Mukha, your Varaha Avatar, any god which has a different head, so Ganesh. So any mantra related to these four gods, deities is fantastic for a Ketu kind of a thing. So for example, chanting Hanuman Chalisa or Sankata Nashana Ganesha Stotram, Pranamya Shirasa Devam Gauri Putram Vinayakam. So that those kind of shlokas are fantastic for a Ugram Veeram and or Jnanandamayam. So these are the four deities you should sort of propitiate if you have a very strong Ketu, or you want to strengthen Ketu, or you intend or you have the intention to move in the spiritual direction and explore different dimensions in life. Kind of.
Okay, so that is how it works.
Yes, yes.
Okay, got it. So for a person, like you're saying, that Ketu essentially moves them in a spiritual direction,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like, how do you judge the strength of Ketu in the chart?
Yes. So Ketu has there is a representation of Ketu where it says it has its own house like any other planet. There are houses or signs where Ketu is reasonably strong. So for example, Pisces is strong, Scorpio is strong, Sagittarius is strong for Ketu. So these three houses are relatively very strong from a Ketu kind of a perspective. Another way to notice any Vargottama Pada wherever Ketu is placed, it is any planet is placed is reasonably very strong. So, like we talked about Shri Ravi Shankar, Rohini Pada too. It's a very fantastic. The strength of that particular planet there, or any planet there, is very strong. So it is both Vargottama as well as Pushkara Navamsha kind of. So from that perspective, we can easily figure out the strength of the planet. And so generally, Rahu Ketu is the effects is observed from the strength of the Lord of that particular house where Ketu is placed. So generally, if the Lord is strong, Ketu is also strong because it takes the flavor of the Lord kind of a
that
thing.
particular house.
Yes, yes. So Ketu has this unique capability of sort of being anti-Chandra, anti-Surya, anti-Mangal, anti-Jupiter, anti-Venus. It is completely whatever they intend to do. Ketu has this capability of being anti. So, for example, Chandra talks about stability. Reasonably good, stable life, and you want a house. And the Ketu says it's anti. You don't get stability in life. Surya talks about having status in life. Being a king and having status. Ketu says no status in life. If you want to pursue divinity, there is only one person. You have to bow down to that person or respect that person or that divinity or that energy, whatever you call it. So Mangal talks about energy and aggression and all that. Ketu says no aggression. So it's completely. Venus talks about diplomacy and love and relationships. Ketu's completely separation and anti. It's a completely anti any graha from that perspective, and that is the beautiful flavor that Ketu brings. So any person, everybody person may have a Ketu dasha in their life, and in that dasha they talk about it gives you an opportunity to connect with divinity, to explore spirituality, to learn more. So all your four yogas, right? Your Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Kriya Yoga, it gives you an opportunity to start pursuit of those kind of yogas. Yes.
Got it. So that is based on whether you run the dasha or
yes,
not.
Yes.
For a lot of people who don't run Ketu dasha, what happens?
So if Ketu is not strong, you will automatically, like 99% of the population, you will move into a material direction. You want money, you want power, you want status.
So the same thing continues.
Same thing continues. So if Ketu is strong in the chart, or if there is a blessing of some guru who is capable of activating your spirituality, primarily what the purpose, what is happening is he or she is activating your Ketu actually. So basically, Rahu brings us into this world. Desires. We come into this world because there is a desire, there is a pending desire. You want to achieve a lot of things in life and those kind of things, and that is why rebirth happens. You may be a human, you may not be a human. But Ketu says, boss, I'm giving you an opportunity where you can extinguish all your desires, extinguish all your karmas here, and then if you want, you can sort of explore divinity. So it is up to us whether we want to take that up, that path or not. But people who have a strong Ketu automatically, sort of pursue that. Yes.
So one other question is, we spoke about Ketu in different signs, right?
Yes.
Now from the sign of it, like we can from the sound of it, we can see that Ketu is more related to the 12th house.
Yes.
Or like the 8th house with like occult and all of those things.
Yes.
So where is Ketu best placed?
Yes. So Ketu is ideally very strong in the 12th house and 8th house and 6th house. So generally it is said that if your Atma Karaka planet in the Navamsha, wherever it is placed, and if Ketu is placed in the 12th house from there, it is a high probability that you will move into a moksha kind of a state, or you will at least explore spirituality and move in that direction. So 12th house from the Karakamsha in the Navamsha chart. So if the Ketu is placed there, it's very beautiful. And generally, Ketu, whichever house it is placed, it generally, I have done it before kind of a thing. I know it. I know these things. So for example, if Ketu is in the first house in the chart, the person will normally have an attitude wherein, I know everything, I have done this before, you don't need to tell me these things, kind of a thing. So, Ketu is in the seventh house, the person will be usually, I know everything about relationships, and there is a high probability that the relationship might break because the thinking is that from that perspective, because I know
Right.
that kind of a thinking. And then it is ideally good to sort of propitiate Ketu, or bow down to Ketu, at least one of those parameters in which the house is kept.
Okay.
So, for example, if it is placed in the second house, the person will always have a feeling that I don't have wealth. I am always, how much ever I earn, the satisfaction will not be there. So, that wealth component of, or any other component which denotes that second house, if the person sort of submits himself, then the relationship with Ketu is fantastic for that particular chart.
Okay, got it. So, Ketu, does it also like represent, like what does it represent? Like, for example, like let's say Mars represents a particular industry or a
Yes,
type, right?
yes.
Moon represents water.
Yes.
So in that sense, what does Ketu represent?
Yes. So Ketu is basically a fiery element. So
Okay.
like Mars, Ketu is a very fiery element. It's the co-lord of Scorpio.
Right.
So basically denotes circuit breaker. So for example, you are in a relationship, things are not going well. Suddenly one fine day, both of them, there's an outburst. That circuit breaker, the point of no return is Ketu. So you are, sort of disarrayed in life, and you want to sort of figure out, I'm not getting anywhere, I'm not moving in the right direction. That is exactly the flavor of Ketu. I don't know what to do in my life. There may be stages in many people's life where you reach the stage where you feel that, what am I
feeling
doing?
lost,
You
basically.
completely lost, completely disarrayed, complete detachment, disassociation with, for example, a person, there is no absolute attachment with the family.
Okay.
So the family is sitting for dinner, and this person, comes at a different time, and so
Has
particularly,
dinner by himself.
exactly, that disassociation is completely related to
Ketu.
Ketu. So this nature of Ketu is very, very strong from that
Evident
perspective.
there.
Yes.